All right, new Mark Rober.
This is a bird feeder, and everything you see surrounding me in my yard is an attempt to protect it from 4 thieving squirrels. If they want the birdseed and the lifetime supply of walnuts in this bank vault, they'll first need to pass through my 9-part obstacle course. By design, it's extremely challenging. It's meant to test their mental limits and their physical limits. I held back no punches, but I have to admit in hindsight, I once again...
Mark Rober still follows me on Twitter, by the way. I know because I checked today because I found out he made a new video and I was like, he probably unfollowed me by now, right? Nope.
If you like Connor Eats Pants, you'll love Connor Eats Pants Live. Remember to subscribe for free.
Still follows
completely
me.
Underestimated my adversary. And truthfully, I never thought I'd be that crazy guy in the neighborhood obsessing over the squirrels, but they started it first when they would constantly pillage the
even Mark Rober recycling content. Dude, that's the YouTube way, man.
Defending it with an obstacle
leave him alone.
Handily defeated, and so after a year of ruminating on how to avenge that L with a majorly improved version, and then 2 months of planning, my buddy John and I got together for a 20-second build montage.
I know a kid in my neighborhood where I'm from that looks up to Mark Rober so much. There are so many young kids that like are so inspired by Mark Rober. It's super badass. He just does cool shit.
Here are the basic elements. For starters, here's their favorite
I asked why this is your last stream. Got canceled, sorry.
And it's sitting atop Fort Nuts, the most secure walnut vault in the western United States. Now, since birds can fly, they can come and go as they please and eat all the food they want. But the only way for the squirrels to make it right here is by surviving my 9-part grueling obstacle course, which all starts right here.
Oh, I see. You put little things down there.
This platform is the single gateway to enter the course. Every other pull you see has some kind of countermeasure.
This is funny as fuck.
Climbing up and then entering the course halfway through. And so the first challenge is this casino, which makes it seem like an odd choice until you realize that as we were building the course, we
holy shit, wait, this is god tier content.
So we put them up in a couple different trees, and after a few days, it looked like they'd actually made some renovations. So I went to take a closer look. And sure enough, here's the before and here's the after.
Oh, the squirrels made it home. Oh shit, squirrels gone wild.
Like they were just using the house to relax or stretch,
what else?
Or look out the window, or like
oh shit!
The satellite communications gear and the tactical mission planning.
They get down and dirty in there, dude.
A completely different story. This gang of 4 high-end professional birdseed thieves were secretly planning to pull off an honest-to-goodness Mission Impossible Ocean's 11 style mega walnut heist. Which is why I was gonna protect the birdseed and walnut vault with the most state-of-the-art security measures, just like the casino did in Ocean's 11. So once in the casino, you'll see the slot machine and the classic Vegas buffet, but with a warning. Take more than an ounce,
it's so
you're gonna have to deal with security. Now that I got the squirrels on the run, they'll naturally want to jump to this bar, but there's a twist. Like it actually twists, which I think is gonna give them some problems. But if they can figure this out, they'll jump into this crate. And the good news is that it's filled to the brim with their
there's no way, dude,
this and I know this because I tested a bunch of different
squirrels really that smart? There's no fucking way.
But the bad news is that once you add a little weight to the system, the helicopter starts moving, just like the helicopter for Mission Impossible. Oh, and we've got a
don't predict it. Some people might have already seen the video.
Crawling along the wire from the fence. The helicopter stops next to this wall, which seems simple enough, except that the bricks randomly move.
All right, this video will decide if I respect squirrels.
At any time, if they fall
I always considered squirrels like shitty American monkeys.
And start over the whole
like we don't have that many monkeys.
After that, we come to their hideout.
We have squirrels and they're just annoying.
From defense to offense because it's where they hang out and plan. You can see it's sort of messy with their tools and their blueprints on the wall that show if they open the floor on the elevator shaft leads them underground and into the sewers. Then if they crawl through the sewers, it will take them right to the control center for a second room that might look familiar. And just like in Mission Impossible,
I hadn't seen the first
goal is
squirrel
to go
obstacle
up
course.
through the ceiling to access
but I'm watching the
vents.
sequel.
But there's no way to make it up there unless they type the password into the keyboard in the control room next door, like this.
What? What the fuck?
And at that point, they can climb the ladder and they're in the vents. And the vents are a total maze. There's lots of different twists and turns they'll need to navigate up here. So at any moment, if they're too lost, they can always exit the whole course by
Imagine
using the
if
one-way
you're a squirrel,
emergency
your mind is,
exit,
like,
which also
fucking
exists for
blown.
any enclosed room on the whole course. And for the penultimate challenge,
like, what
it's back
the
down from
fuck?
the air ducts through this laser maze.
What the hell have I gotten myself
If
into?
they sufficiently touch any of the lasers, the
What
metal
the
base
fuck?
contacts and completes
That
the
squirrel's
circuit,
gotta be
which sends
losing
a
his
signal from this
goddamn mind.
microcontroller to a relay to a solenoid, which causes this pneumatic piston to fire, which slams this door shut for 1 minute. And because I'm basically certain they'll try and get to this point by climbing from the roof on top of this tube, I've placed a shield here with another enforcement squirrel to try and deter them. And so finally, if they've made it through the laser maze and everything they can for it, they've made it to Fort Nuts. And as far as I'm concerned, if they crack the safe by giving this handle a little turn, they've earned every last walnut in this bank. After the course was set up, they could definitely
All
smell
Jennies
the
are
walnuts in the vault,
bastards.
and then you could see them sort of working things out from the fence line. And so after 2 months of prep work, it was time to test our extensive security measures against this formidable set of 500-gram rodents. But before we do that, I just want to mention, if you've always thought it would be cool to be able to build something like a squirrel obstacle course yourself, then I've got incredible news, because a few times a year I teach a month-long creative engineering course, and enrollment for the summer session is open for a short window.
Poggers.
Right now. This class covers my entire engineering design process. I'll show you every step. Over
If
the
I
course
was
of a
like
month,
interested in
you're gonna
engineering,
watch
that'd probably be a
me
pretty
design
cool
and create
fucking
3
thing.
builds from scratch, but the best part is I'm gonna guide you through finishing 3 creative builds of your
Is it really an
own. So
ad?
whether you're
I mean,
a
yeah, it's an
beginner
ad,
or
but
an
like
experienced
it's his
engineer, the
course.
class has been
So
designed
like
to meet you wherever
he's
you're at and
advertising
then
his
level
own
up your
thing.
skills. So go to monthly.com/MarkRober or use the link in the video description and then sign up and let's hang out, making some cool stuff this summer. Now let's see some squirrels. And right out of the gate, we got him with the buffet.
Nice.
And as he sticks his entire face under the sneeze guard, absent-mindedly reading the sign, you can see the exact moment he realizes he might have screwed up.
The police showed up.
Shows Rick just really laying himself out.
Aww.
Oh, by the way, that's Rick. All 4 squirrels have names, and more importantly, like any crew looking to pull off a heist, they all have specific roles to play. Starting with everyone's favorite, Fat Gus, who of course is the mastermind of this operation. On a heist, this is the role of the Frank Ocean or an Ethan Hunt. Now I just have to say, for those who aren't familiar, last year I named one of the squirrels Fat Gus because he loved to eat and was a little on the hefty side. But then halfway through, I noticed he had nipples, which it turns out means he was actually a girl, and a pregnant one at that. So it was just a whole PR disaster, and I switched the name to Fantastic Gus and rephrased a few other things, but to be honest, Fantastic Gus just doesn't roll off the tongue like Fat Gus.
No, it doesn't work.
So I asked permission to use my preferred phrasing, and as you can see,
I like how
I got
he just
full
changed
consent.
it from
Next up is Rick. He's the
fat
acrobat,
to
the grease man,
fantastic,
the
because you
gutsy
can't
one.
call a
He's the
woman
go-to
fat.
for any task that is
That's
going to
funny.
require some athletic abilities. And then we've got Marty. He's the hacker. Anything with computers
Marty.
or bank safes, and he's your guy. But while he's really smart, he also scares pretty easy. And finally, we've got Frank with logistics. A good heist starts with a good plan. He's got
Marty
the whole
knows
course
about the
memorized,
Dominion
and he's
voting
mapped
system.
it out and provided blueprints for the team.
Marty's got
And
the
so back to
knowledge.
the course, we've got Marty the hacker here, who again is a bit skittish, so you can see he's coming in pretty cautious. But who can resist a buffet?
Holy shit!
Once again, the real magic
He
is found
lost
in the
his
slow.
mind. Holy fuck. Marty dipped.
Eventually they realized security was just too tight at this casino, and Rick goes straight to the twist bar.
They're so smart. What?
Excellent. Here's try 2. And with some motivation for the bird, he's like, I got this, I got this, I got this.
Back at it again.
I don't think I got this.
Oh, Marty.
The real-time replay on this one is great too.
Nuts.
And at this point, Fat Gus is like, I'm gonna need that crate of walnuts. Let me show you how it's done. Which turns out somewhat
Fat Gus.
predictably.
Go, Gus. No. Oh. Go. He's living. He's okay.
Really frustrated, acrobat daredevil Rick tries a totally different route.
Holy
But
shit.
you've got to admire that effort.
Rick went for it.
Logistics man Frank knows the wire connected to the fence leads to the helicopter crate, so he tries sneaking in the back door
Nice try,
and is
dude.
also forced to retreat.
Nice
And finally, Marty
try.
the hacker realizes if you're just scared and you run real fast, the bar doesn't have time to spin on you. And you can
Five
see Rick
head.
just replicating the strategy.
Oh, they're teaching each
So
other.
after about 2 days, all of them could cruise through the first part of this course about this fast, and Fort Nuts was already feeling less and less secure. Fat Gus is like, wait, is this thing moving? I'm good.
Oh, he dipped.
Here, Rick hypothesizes if he doesn't sit in the crate, it won't move.
Whoa, 5 head.
Here, he rejects that hypothesis.
That was
with
actually a sick
legendary
move.
leap. And now is a good time to remind ourselves that squirrels are one of the few mammals that can survive a fall from any height. Because as you can see here, they make their bodies super flat to increase drag, effectively becoming their own parachute. But just in case, you okay, Rick? Yep. All good.
Rick
And Marty the
spoke.
hacker, Frady Cat, is just like, yeah, I'm super not down with this. Eventually, it's the fearless leader, Fat Gus, who demonstrates the ride is definitely worth it.
Yo, Fat Gus.
And soon you've got Frank and the rest of the gang following suit. Which leads us to the wall of 1,000 moving bricks. And first
Gus
up,
deniers
you got Fat
out.
Gus, who
Yep.
kicks things right off with a pull of his parachute.
Dude, they pussy out every
And
time.
Rick just
They gotta
barely
commit.
misses. Skittish Marty gets one taste of a moving brick and absolutely yeets himself into this tree.
Holy
And while
shit.
there were plenty of instances where a moving brick did dump the squirrels, causing them to start over from the beginning, what was even better was Marty
God
psyching
loves
himself
you.
out
Thank
in
you,
the
Person
anticipation
Boy
that a brick
6.
might move, even though the wall
Thanks,
wasn't
man.
powered on for any of these clips.
Oh, they're just scared.
And thanks in part to the dutiful supervision of Fat Gus, eventually, like all the other challenges
Fat
so
Gus
far,
really
they
is
got
a
it down to
leader.
science where they could cruise by the wall fairly quickly.
Fat
And
Gus
now's a good
is
time to
a
mention
leader
the
there.
squirrels weren't the
Look at
only
that.
ones attempting the course.
Oh,
This is
shit.
Splinter the Rat, and here he is with one of his buddies. He liked to make the rounds to all the houses each night, which sometimes were vacant, and sometimes they weren't.
Oh,
There goes
shit.
Frank to chase him off his lawn. And you might have noticed the stuff in the house. The squirrels would gather nesting materials from various sources,
Oh.
or, somewhat hilariously, just steal
Yo,
from
I'm
each
too
other.
drunk
Here's a
to be
bonus Santa
watching
Claus
this if this
impression
is
for all
funny.
the Fat Gus fans out there.
That guy
So
is
from Splinter
fucking
and his
wasted
buddies
watching
to
squirrels
not
try to
all creepy
steal nuts.
possums, there's a surprisingly
He's
constant
losing his
variety of
mind.
wildlife that passes through a suburban backyard,
He's
including a
sitting
dumb
here
dog
like,
who,
what
for some
the
reason,
fuck?
is much less interested in squirrels than he is my camera gear.
Aw.
Which is a lovely segue back to the Squirrel Hideout, where
Doggy,
the heist
no.
was really just picking up steam.
He's got his face marked out. Whoa! Aw. No, don't go back up. You need to go down there. Nice. Oh, he's got it. He's figuring it out. He's figuring it out.
Yo, I am too drunk. This is crazy brew file.
Press the button, buddy. Oh, he did it. Whoever is high right now in chat's gotta be also
And
losing
after
their
Hacker
fucking
Marty
mind in
had
a whole
accessed the
different
computer
way.
and lowered the ladder, Fat Gus followed
The
behind and
squirrels
joined him
are
in the
doing a
vent. But in the
heist,
process,
bro.
a
What
critical
the
tool
fuck?
dropped down, which led to a lovely recreation of an iconic scene.
Yo! Connor, it's not a real squirrel. It's just Mark Rober in a costume. Man, don't ruin the
And as a
movie
side note,
magic,
they figured
bro.
out the exit door pretty quickly, and they functioned as a one-way door exactly as intended. And now with the vents, it was Frank's time to shine. You can see here, he's just double
Frank
checking
knows
the
how to
actual
vent.
air duct layouts to make sure they
All
match
right,
the blueprints
Frank.
he's memorized. And once he's satisfied, he steps up, and as you can see, he nails it first try. You can just sense his confidence here.
I've never seen a squirrel that
Contrast
color.
that with Marty, who's like,
kinda badass.
I think it was a right, no, it was straight.
Shiny squirrel.
Was it left? Crap. I gotta go check the map again. And as a result, most of his runs would end up looking something like this. So here's Frank coaching him from the outside, and you can see Marty's a little defensive about it.
Are they actually working together,
So
or
Frank
is this
hops
just
in
part of
so
the
they can
narrative
work
of
out
the
their
video?
differences.
Oh, fuck! No, okay,
And then
no.
with a little encouragement, he
We'll
gets
fight.
him going down the right way. All the while, Fat Gus continues to supervise. Focus, Marty. There you go. Which brings us to the laser
Thanks,
maze.
Marin.
Here's Acrobat Rick's first approach, and he's like, yeah, that's sus. And just as expected, he climbs on top of the tube, and he's like, yeah, I totally got this. When in fact,
oh
he
shit!
didn't have it. In real time, it happens so fast, it just looks like chaos. But if we slow down this second attempt, we can remind ourselves of how squirrels have mastered the laws of physics to always land on their feet. Did you catch it? The first is the locking of the head on a landing target in less than 300 milliseconds. If you go back and watch any jump from this video, that locking of their head is the first thing they always do. And the second is using conservation of angular momentum like an ice skater to pull their arms and legs in and out at the right times to rotate fast and then hold in the right orientation.
Yes.
Combine those two tricks with the flat body parachute and extending their legs at the last minute to absorb the shock, and they are perfectly adapted for living high in the trees. In fact, squirrels have been around for over 30 million years, and they've had to evolve relatively little in all that time. So then Rick's like, fine, I'll use the stupid tube like a normal squirrel. What is this? Oh, see, I knew this was sus. And here's Frank, who just watched what happened and therefore is appropriately cautious.
Ah, fuck.
But he hops right back on the saddle, and this time he nails it. And in the end, it feels appropriate that the mastermind, Fat Gus, was the first one to make it successfully through the laser maze, and then to subsequently make it to Fort Nuts. I mean, how Fat Gus is this?
Fat Gus.
Falling not just for one decoy nut, but for both of them. Which paves the way for Marty the hacker to be the one to crack the safe.
He forgot to open the door.
And as you can see here, he's pretty stoked about it.
Fat Gus through, dude.
And first, he just checks it out.
Marty the hacker.
Yep. This is just like the schematic showed.
That's real.
And then,
open it.
The big moment.
Oh, yo! Holy shit! They hit the jackpot, dude.
Once the safe opened, these cargo nets unfurled, which just allowed better access to their loot. But interestingly, more often than not, after getting a walnut, instead of jumping off, they would go all the way back through the course. Here's Jumpy Marty exhibiting some real PTSD, even though I'd already turned off the whole system.
It's kind of unnecessary.
So once again, the squirrels took the W, but as far as I'm concerned, they earned it. And I can't complain with how things turned out, because Rick buried all his extra nuts in the yard, Marty and Frank made up and rekindled their friendship, and Fat Gus got some long-sought quality time with the bird feeder. So everyone was happy.
Aw, everybody's having a great time. W Squirrel. That is a W.
This is a mechanism that can feed your dog with a pull of a lever. And this is a contraption that measures the soil moisture level and then gives your plants a voice.
Hey, I need a little water over here. That's delicious. Thank you.
And this is a machine that measures how long you've been sitting and then annoys the crud out of you till you take a stretch break. This is a contraption that can draw anything on a whiteboard, and this is a secret safe for your most valuable possessions. And finally, this is a G-dang Lunchables assembly line. Are you kidding me? And what do all of those have in common? They were created by people who took my month-long creative engineering course.
That's cool.
I just launched this class for the first time a few months ago, and it was so freaking rewarding to see what everybody learned and created as a result.
That's neat. Oh, fuck.
For the most part. And because we got so much
Watch the first one? Okay. I'll watch the first squirrel video. I gotta go soon, guys. This is, I gotta go to bed.
This is a bird feeder, and everything to my left is my attempt at making it squirrel proof. If they want the bird seed, they will first need to pass through what is basically an 8-part Ninja Warrior obstacle course for squirrels. This course is extremely challenging. It is not for the timid of heart. But out of the gate, I will admit that in hindsight, that I completely underestimated my adversary. Now, if you're wondering why I would go through all this trouble,
Dude, time for me doing the charity stream? Probably E3.
Stuck at home and very bored. So I installed a bird feeder and decided to become a bird watcher. And it was just so lovely.
Aw.
Until they showed up. Now luckily my bird feeder had a wire cage around it, big enough for the birds to slip inside, but small enough to prevent the squirrels from getting the food. And that worked really well until right here. For me, this was like the moment in Jurassic Park when they realized the velociraptors can open door handles. And once the door was open,
yo, let's go. Look at that squirrel.
Cleared this whole tube of birdseed by the end of the day. Mind you, this bird feeder was advertised as being squirrel proof, so I bought another squirrel proof bird feeder to replace it. It's got this outer cage suspended by some springs, and so if a bird comes and lands here, it doesn't weigh that much and it has access to the seeds. However, if a squirrel comes, it'll grab onto this cage. Its weight will force the springs down, thereby preventing access to the seeds. I have no idea how the squirrels could possibly outsmart this, but let's see. And this one worked exactly as intended. You can see the birds love it, but when the squirrel comes along, the cage shifts down and now all the seed ports are covered up. Every time they tried, it was the same results. However, the next morning, this guy manages to unclip the springs that hold the cage up, which means the cage stays in the lowered position where it blocks all the seed openings. Problem with that is now they can get to the lid. But this bird feeder lid doesn't hinge open to give direct access, so he goes with a different tactic.
Yeah!
Where he now has access to all the birdseed he wants. And so I decided I would try one more bird feeder design. Okay. Wow.
Wow.
It almost feels intentional at this point. This one's supposed to work well because it's got this baffle, which is supposed to keep the squirrels from just coming straight down and getting to the seeds. And more importantly, there's no way for them to rip this off.
Why the fuck are you CJ? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Similar results.
The fuck is wrong with you?
It hangs by a few toes. This is when I really started gaining appreciation for what they were capable of. It definitely seemed like this bird feeder was their favorite. Okay. Yeah, they're flexing on me for sure. And at this point, a plan was forming in my head, but just to be thorough, I moved the post away from the fence, and I can't say I was surprised when they just climbed it. Nor was I surprised to see they could shimmy up and down a small metal pole, or even a large one for that matter.
Squirrels are
and whether
too
they could
smart,
climb
man.
a certain pole material was a moot point anyways because of this. Look at this! These guys are basically freaking rodent-sized Simone Biles. And on some level, this is what it felt like when someone stole a package from my porch that didn't belong to them, and I harnessed that indignation, spending a year designing the glitter bomb bait package. Hello.
Those videos are so funny.
Complete with special fragrances. Oh. If I could design a package to deter thieves, could I design a bird feeder to deter squirrels? And so after a couple weeks of brainstorming, designing, and building with my buddy John, we put it all together in this 20-second build montage.
No, I don't think the delivery one's fake. Building montage. Watching you at my job at the Coles in the training room. Nice.
For starters,
shout out to
Coles.
Coles.
Place their favorite bird feeder at the end of the course, and to sweeten the deal, right below that there's a trap door. And if they step here, it releases a butt ton of walnuts and unfurls some celebratory dams. Why walnuts? I'm glad you asked. I'm using walnuts because over the course of a week, I put out a buffet of 7 different nuts and seeds. And all 4 times I repeated the experiment, walnuts were always the one they ate first. What's great about placing this here is it levels the playing field. As the birds can fly up and get as much food as they want anytime they need it. The squirrels, however, will have to work for it because the only way to make it to this platform is if they work their way through my 8-part Ninja Warrior obstacle course.
2 quick ones. I already know I'm getting there on the first line.
Platform on the course that has a pole that isn't covered in slippery stuff, which means this is where they have to climb up to enter the course. If they try and get up any other way, they can't keep a good grip and they just slide back down. So the first challenge is the bridge of instability. Now this may look easy, but the trick is it attaches at a single point on each end. And from a physics standpoint, that makes it no different than trying to crawl across a tightrope.
I know
physics,
guys.
It's the same deceptive principle with that one carnival game that's so impossible.
Obviously.
I broke it down in another video where I used physics to show which carnival games were basically scams and the science on how to do them. Next up, the maze of 1,000 corridors. This one's a bit more cerebral, but if they make it through that, it will bring them to the pitchfork tumblers, which are inspired by the show Wipeout. But unlike Wipeout, I should point out that all these contraptions are squirrel friendly, and even with a little back force, they will break away and stop spinning. Now, if they can make it past the pitchfork tumblers of treachery,
squirrel
they come to one of my personal favorites, the home wrecker.
Oh shit! Oh shit! shit.
I put her in to tempt the squirrel to lose focus on the real prize at the end of the course. Because this pad has a pressure sensor underneath it, and it connects to a microcontroller that has a relay that connects to a solenoid that connects to a pneumatic piston that connects back to this platform with the pressure sensor. And so if they stand here for more than 3 seconds,
I mean, that's a pretty sexualized squirrel.
they've got to start the course all over again. Next up is the Slinky Bridge of Deception. I've suspended a juicy walnut right in the middle, but there's no way this bridge will support their weight, so it'll be interesting to see how they approach it.
How does that work?
The 6th challenge is called the Tourist Trap. It's actually a bit of a reward for making it this far. If the squirrel sticks their head through this board my wife painted, it's just a photo op they can hang on the wall of their tiny squirrel nest. I'll place a walnut here as an incentive for them not to miss this unique opportunity. The penultimate challenge are the quad steps of great elevation. This is taken straight from Ninja Warrior, and this is super tricky because these pads are all totally smooth and placed at a 45-degree incline. And now for the last challenge. At this point, they are a mere few feet away from their ultimate goal.
Squirrels are so badass. What the hell?
The orbital assist platform, aka the final countdown, aka it's not a catapult. It's
kill the squirrel, Mark Rober. Yo, what the fuck with the bits, man?
Which means
don't kill the
they now
squirrel.
Have to go back and start all the way over from the beginning. Now, if they want to avoid that fate, they just need to stand on this pad for less than 3 seconds. But once again, I've placed a diversion here. This one projects an optical illusion of anything you place in the bottom of this dish. It's actually super trippy and looks even more impressive in real life because the projected image is 3D. They're like $9 on Amazon, and I put a link that explains the juicy physics of how they work in the video description.
That's gonna blow that squirrel's mind.
I know I seem to have this reputation of...
That squirrel is gonna, like, question his life.
Improvised high-speed projectiles, and so this one might worry a few animal lovers out there, including my wife.
Hi, people in chat just lost it.
And the child was the only one I had to save. So rest assured, I can adjust the pressure on the piston, and we'll be staying way below any launch force that could hurt any of our adorable backyard contestants. And so finally, after making it through all that,
maybe I do get a squirrel brain. Honestly, after seeing these videos, I don't know if squirrel brain is an insult. They're fucking genius.
They earn the right to gorge next to the birds for as long as they want. And so after nearly a month of prep
maybe
work,
I can ask Maya to get squirrels at Alphaeus. But then she'll tell me again, Connor, squirrels don't need to be rescued, and then I'm gonna get mad.
The gears turning because right above that was their favorite bird feeder.
First no monkeys, now no
before long,
squirrels.
we had our first contender.
Back at it again with the white bands.
I missed the meme. Why is this the last stream?
Because I'm going on a break for a little bit.
Back at it again with the
Whoa.
white bands.
This is too much for my high-ass Iron Man.
That didn't exactly go as planned, so Rick decides to regroup. Speaking of which, that's Rick. There are a total of 4 competitors that will be attempting the course. First up is Rick, and he weighs 500 grams. I know this because he's actually standing on a custom-made scale. Rick is very clever, as you'll see here in a minute, but he also gets spooked easily. Next up is Marty. He's basically indistinguishable from Rick. Rick and Marty are inseparable and pretty much spend all their time together as a pair.
boys.
Our third contender is Frank, also coming in around 500 grams.
He's got the same squirrels.
He's also kind of dumb. Finally, we've got my personal favorite, Fat Gus. He's just really charming.
Fantastic,
and will strike
Gus.
a pose if he sees a camera. He also really likes to eat, and he tips the scales at an impressive 800 grams. While most of the squirrels are kind of particular before making a selection and then gracefully leaping away, Fat Gus just goes for it, hands free. Just makes himself real
What a
comfortable.
dude.
Here he is laying out with a light snack from the bird feeder. I mean, you can't fault the guy for just clearly appreciating a good meal. So now that you know our 4 contenders, let's get back to Rick. So he hops back on, and he's actually doing better than his first attempt. Just barely. This is the best because he's like, okay, I got this. Never mind. Well, maybe no, I definitely don't. And this was the exact moment I realized I just might be outmatched here.
Oh, yo, shot! Holy shit! What?
Marty was watching Rick, and after a quick dip of his toes in the water, adopts his strategy right out of the gate. Oof, so close. But an excellent recovery. And Fat Gus, perhaps predictably, comes up a little short. Which brings us to the Maze of 1,000 Corridors.
That's insane.
Which, to be honest, they mastered this one pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's not that hard. I could
Here's
do
a
that.
solid run from Fat Gus. And now for the pitchfork tumblers of treachery. Marty was like, yeah, that's a hard pass. Fat Gus is just like, abort! Frank is just like, nope.
Frank
Then he's
thought
like,
about
wait a
it.
second. Still nope. Then Marty flies in real hot over the top. He did make it through, but that's partial credit as far as I'm concerned. And then here's Fat Gus with my favorite attempt by far.
Gus.
And then Frank shows no fear, which helps him pull off this near-flawless run. And finally, Smart
Frank
Rick
the badass,
surgically weaves his way
the
through,
shiny
essentially
Pokemon.
untouched. And I should mention, the squirrels were most active from 6 to 10 a.m. So every morning, I've been getting up before the sunrise to start filming from in my house like one of those camouflage nature photographers. Only like a suburbanized version. I've also had a handful of streaming cameras rolling 24/7, which has allowed me to make such discoveries as we have the world's worst guard dog. Thanks for the help, pal.
Aww.
Now back to the home wrecker. You can see Rick is instinctively suspicious of this gold digger, and only for a brief moment puts his full weight on the platform.
Wow, he doesn't have time for these hoes.
Marty, on the other
Hi
hand,
Connor, I'm sad
Marty,
this is the last
Marty's
stream.
he's a guy.
I love your content.
Marty
and
gets
I look
around.
forward to your return.
Damn.
You can't blame
She is a
Marty.
cruel
Thanks,
mistress.
99 for the $3, and thank you,
and because I
Leia,
know
for the
my
Prime.
wife is
Oh
going to
shit,
ask me
Island
no,
with the hoax.
This will not hurt the squirrel for 2
Island
reasons.
with the
Number
1K
one, they
hoax.
are amazing
Thank you,
like cats
Island.
and always land on their feet.
Very
And
pog.
2, they themselves were jumping from this height all the time, and in some cases, much higher. In fact, squirrels are one of the few mammals that can
It was
survive
a
fall
host,
from
not a
any
Reds. I'm not
height
sure if his
because
viewers
they
are here
make their
yet.
terminal velocity so low. You can see it right here.
Two
They
quick
make their
ones. I
body
already
as
know
flat
I'm
as
getting there on the
possible.
Island with
They
2
pull
months.
back
I
to
love this
increase
video.
drag. They
Much pop
basically
for you
become their
too.
own
Pog.
parachute. And then right
Yep,
before they
pog.
land, they pull in and fully extend their arms and legs.
I
to
learned
act
this
as
in the
shock-absorbing
second video,
landing gear.
Mark.
This is so cool. Now back to the course where even Smart Rick eventually lets his guard down,
Aww.
which is exactly when she strikes.
Sorry, Rick.
But just like
Women,
all the
am
other
I right?
obstacles so far, after a day or two, they'd mastered it. In this case, even disregarding her offering of a fresh walnut.
Wow. Didn't have time for
Now
it.
onto the Slinky Bridge of Deception, and this was the sleeper obstacle.
They will
That
never
is
get
not
past
a large
this
gap,
one.
which they can easily jump, but having the Slinky there just threw them off somehow. You can see how much Frank is struggling here, and he's the brave one.
We can just jump it, right? Oh.
And Rick only jumps when Marty shows up for emotional support. But like
Aw,
all the
they're
obstacles so
boys.
far, after a day or two, they'd mastered it. Now on to our third to last obstacle,
Aw,
the
photo
tourist
time,
trap. And
yay.
this one was just a freaking delight. A little peanut butter
Aw.
really did the trick here.
Little squirrel cowboy. Aw, look at him. I like
Now
squirrel
here
cow.
comes
It's
Fat
like
Gus.
Sandy.
And I mean, how Fat Gus is this?
It's like Sandy
He sees the
Cheeks.
camera and he's like, paint me like one of your French squirrels. Yeah?
Aw.
No? No takers? Alright.
Good one,
Here's
Mark.
another classic Gus where he looks at the camera. Wait a second. Play that back. And freeze. Zoom. Enhance. Well, turns out Fat Gus is not a dude. And he's pregnant. Which meant I was suddenly feeling real
pregnant.
uncomfortable about all those weight comments. So after a bit of a pivot to smooth things over, we soldiered on to the quad steps of great elevation. Frank comes in rather confident, almost
Girl boss
to his
Gus.
demise.
Yeah.
But he pulls off the smooth recovery.
Wow. Dude, Frank is just a badass. Say
So
what
after
you
not
will.
much time at all,
but
they were looking
Frank
pretty
is
good
a
here.
badass.
In fact, one morning I noticed Marty totally skipped the last step altogether, which I took as a
Legend?
challenge. And so I removed the middle step to see what they would do. And who else but Fantastic Gus? Let's slow that down a bit.
Holy shit.
They're such amazing jumpers, so I suppose the quick mastery here wasn't a surprise. I mean, this right here is probably a 10-foot jump. And here's some classic brave but dumb Frank. He'd already entered the course normally and made it to the home wrecker
I heard
at least
Frank
a
is a
dozen
Connor
times by
frog.
this
That's
point.
what they're
and yet for some
saying.
reason, he decides this 12-foot jump
been
is his
saying
best
that a
course
little
of
bit.
action. And Smart Rick was the first one to enter the course, so in the end, after about a week of effort, it was fitting he was the one to make it to the jackpot first.
Yo,
And he's so
oh, he
stoked,
dipped.
He apparently wants to run the whole course in reverse.
Oh.
In hindsight, we probably should have made the jackpot a little quieter. Here's Marty, as always, not far behind.
Marty.
He's also
Don't
a
be
bit flighty,
scared.
as you know, which worked against
Get
him
your
here
walnuts.
because down below Fantastic Gus, ever the opportunist, comes through with a real stroke of brilliance.
Legend.
But pretty soon Marty comes back like, I'm the one who kind of earned that. And then Fantastic Gus is like, you snooze, you lose, sucker.
Everybody's
And might I just say,
the whole
Fantastic
team is
Gus, when you
falling
sit
apart.
Like that, you don't look an ounce over 700 grams.
The whole team is
Eventually, they
falling
learned that
apart,
sound
man.
was a good thing, and they'd quickly
No more
return
teamwork.
For the reward
I'll have
before
every man for
Fantastic
themselves.
Gus got any ideas. So
And
here's
woman.
a single camera shot of a full run, and by the end, all of them could do the full course in less than 40 seconds. And while we're watching,
They're
you
so
might be wondering
smart.
what happened to the squirreliput. Unfortunately, they didn't really fall for my illusion much, but I'm about to show you the 2 times they did. And as a promise to my wife, I turned the pressure to only 40% full power, so the acceleration the squirrel would feel is about half a G, which
Yeah,
is
wait,
10
I want to
times
see
less
them
than a
go
typical
for
roller
the.
coaster.
I want to see them go for
Additionally,
the
I never turned on
floating
either the home
walnut.
record trapdoor or the launch platform when I wasn't actively watching from inside my house, where I had a manual override button. Because as safe as it was, something about launching Fantastic Gus just didn't feel right. Now, what you're about to see is going to look pretty chaotic, but
Launch
when we check the
them.
slow-mo, amazingly, I'll show you how the squirrel is totally in control pretty much the whole time. Alright, now here's a second.
What the fuck?
Also, even if you don't trust my calculations, I can assure you that the squirrels did not quit. In both launch cases, they were back up on the course in like
That's so
5
funny.
minutes. Here's the slow-mo, and see if you can spot the 2
Holy
critical things he does
shit.
to make sure he lands feet down. Did you catch it?
We saw this in another one.
First critical moment is right here. He's already done the predictive math, and he's locked his head on the spot where he plans to land. And now his head will not lose that lock the whole way down.
That's so funny.
What's crazy is the time it takes him to do all the predictive math to know exactly where he will land and to lock his head is 300 milliseconds. That's exactly this long, literally less than the blink of an eye.
I
That
could do
blows
that.
my mind, but if you think about it, it makes sense these reactions would have evolved to be razor sharp if you live your life in the trees, constantly making split-second decisions. Now, besides picking the landing spot with his head, the second trick is with his arms. When he wants to keep his upper body from rotating, he has his arms out. But the moment he wants to rotate his upper body quickly, he tucks them in. And then when he wants to stop rotating, he extends them out again.
This is a
This is straight up
badass
conservation
squirrel,
of angular
dude.
momentum. It's the same trick ice skaters use. Basically, bring your limbs in if you want to rotate fast, extend them out if you want to slow the rotation. My buddy Destin from Smarter Everyday also made a video analyzing how cats always land on their feet, and they do the exact same 2 tricks. The head target lock and bringing limbs in to rotate
Kitty.
and out to stop rotation. Here's the second launch. So this may look
What the
like pure
fuck?
luck in real time, but the slow-mo tells a different story. In that amount of time, he's already made a slight lateral push in that direction and locked his landing target with his head.
He
We know
landed
from
on the
previous clip, He
cameras?
can rotate his body to any orientation, but he doesn't in this case because he sees his small push has already aligned him for the perfect landing. That's just so cool. And so after those 2 physics demonstrations, I disabled both the launcher and the home wrecker trapdoor and just let them enjoy the course in peace. As far as I was concerned, they had earned it. Plus, after spending a month together, we were sort of bros by this point.
They
If
ran-
they saw me coming out to work, they would certainly jump away, but then they'd just quickly be right back. And sadly, all good things must come to an end, and because I didn't want them to develop an unhealthy dependence on my handouts, after about a week of free reign, I took down the course, but in
Aw.
its place, I put up a specialized squirrel-sized picnic table. Every morning, this door opens to release just a few walnuts as a little
Aw.
treat to remind them of our good times together. Although I had to laugh that after all this, somehow I didn't anticipate on day 1, Frank would immediately try and
Frank,
figure out
you
and
son
partially
of a
succeed in
bitch.
finding a way to beat the system. Like everything else though, they quickly caught on, and now on some mornings I'll catch them just waiting for the daily ration, chilling patiently
They're
on the
just
bench
sitting.
seat. That is everyone
Animals
but
acting like
Fantastic
humans
Gus.
is always funny.
Don't ever change. buddy.
Always funny.
When I started this 2-month-long adventure,
That is a-
trying to
that is a
birdwatch,
constant.
I had no idea I would enjoy
Animals in
squirrel
human
watching
clothes,
so much more.
funny. Animals
It's also
sitting
made
at
me
picnic
realize
tables,
that even
funny.
amongst the structures and pavement and power lines, how interesting nature can be in a single suburban backyard if you just really stop to look. Even the plants are amazing. I had no idea that as vines grow, they spin around looking for something to grab onto. I didn't anticipate the wide variety of animals that use fences as inter-yard highways to get around as a substitute for all the trees that existed before we got here.
That's
Even
crazy.
little interactions like this spider extending his life with this very timely leap into the unknown were just so delightful to see. But of all the animals, I can definitively say now that squirrels are my absolute favorite, and they're certainly
Maybe
more
I'm a
formidable
squirrel fan
adversary
now.
than porch mouse.
Maybe I'm a bit of a squirrel
They're kind
fan.
of adorable, incredibly crafty,
I might be
curious
a
by
squirrel
nature,
fan now.
athletic, and persistent.
They're
Turns
way
out
too
squirrels
smart.
can live to be 20 years old, and so I like to think that someday Fantastic Gus will bring his grand squirrels to the fence and regale them with tales of cowboys and courage and legendary walnut piles.
Squirrel Squirrels are pretty cool. Squirrels are pretty cool. I'll give them that.
Remember to subscribe for free